Good morning. It's the crack of dawn. I'm already in our Soho office. Thankfully, we have a very forgiving light in this room, so I think we're going to be okay. But today I wanted to speak to you about the hidden P&L in your database and why it's so important. So everybody knows what their P&L is or looks at their P&L multiple times a weekday, probably even hour at the moment, to help them understand the profit and loss in their business, what's driving the profit and what's contributing to that reducing or even driving losses. But you have a P&L in your database, and I would say that it's arguably the most important P&L within your business ecosystem for a number of reasons. Number one, this is the P&L that's mostly associated with people who are closest to you as a business. These are people who have opted in to receive communications, who have given you their data. And so when you start to see loss creeping into this P&L, you know that you have a bigger problem. And this P&L is probably going a huge way to contributing to the wider P&L. So if you're sort of looking at your P&L on a day-to-day basis and thinking, fuck, this is not ideal, you know, where are my next set of like-for-likes going to come from? The answer is probably sitting in this hidden P&L that's sitting in your database. So how does this work? Okay, if you think of your CRM or your database as being a bucket, and all of that incredible acquisition work you're doing, so all of that meta, all of that social, that search, all of the QR codes that you've got around, you know, the A boards, the PR, the marketing, the endless new menus, all of that communication that you're doing is driving people into a bucket. And that should be a really rich seam of revenue for you, really reliable, really predictable, really high margin revenue for you. However, your churn or your lapsing rate is doing something completely different. And what I mean by your churn or your lapse rate is the percentage of people that are becoming zero value, you know, for whatever reason, and that's a whole different post, but they're becoming zero value. So while you're putting all of this, you know, incredible acquisition in the top of the bucket, actually people are falling through the bottom of a huge hole and you're feeling the impact. And you're probably already feeling the impact of that if you can see that you're doing loads of marketing, but you can't really put a finger on what it's driving. And all the marketing in the world, the results of it aren't appearing on your top line. That's when you know you've probably got a very serious churn problem. And it will be a serious churn problem because we've analysed a number of brands over the 5 years or so we've been in business, and we can see that typically hospitality brands have a 60 to 80% churn rate. So every single year, you're losing 60 to 80% of your database, and they are becoming zero value. They're still sitting on your database. The vanity metrics are all there. You've got this huge database, but 60 to 80% of it are becoming zero value. And that's a problem because you are not acquiring customers at a rate that is fast enough or meaningful enough to be able to fill that bucket, okay? Now, this is probably causing you some real problems because it means that in order to see value from your CRM activity, you're probably having to do lots of whole base send, you know, let's just get this out to the whole base. Let's just send out loads of emails. Let's get 3-4 emails out a week. And listen, I get emails from every brand and I can see how many emails are sending out, which is a massive clue to me that there's a huge churn problem. And the irony is doing that activity and not nipping the churn problem in the bud and doing the things that would reduce that churn is actually contributing to your churn problem. So it's just a vicious cycle that you're in. And if you're not already massively seeing the results of this, by, you know, diminishing returns on your CRM revenue, or even just lower revenue overall, even though you seem to be doing loads more activity, you are already spotting this as an impact. So what can you do? I'm going to give you one thing you can do. Know your churn rate. We have a model that we've developed in-house that predicts churn on an individual level to 95.2% accuracy. And that means that we know exactly who is going to churn in your business over the next year. So we can help you, or you can do this yourself, put interventions in place to change the trajectory of those people. If you want to know how to get into that model, give me a shout. If you want to talk about churn, give me a shout. But however you do it, wherever you do it, sort out your churn.